What excites me about aviation is all the places you can go, everything you can see. If you're down at the ground working on a plane, or if you're up above seeing like a beautiful skyline.
What excites me about aviation is just the different processes on how to get from wheels on the ground and then to work your way up to eventually flying in the air.
So what excites me about aviation is the fact that humans aren't really supposed to fly, which was like one of the main talking points when aviation first started. A lot of people just genuinely believe that we should not be in the air. And I think the fact that we've gone this far and this amount of progress in the amount of time, I think is just so exciting that we humans are still flying today.
Really, the second that the wheels leave the ground and you can feel the air under you and you can look down at where you just were, it's the true source of freedom, in my opinion.
I think the best part of this experience is just seeing all the different jobs available in aviation. Here at Cupcrafters, I got to see a lot of the engineers working on the floor with a lot of the mechanics and the other engineers, so it's really been exciting to see that not all engineering jobs are in a cubicle.
The best part about the manufacturing experience was getting to see all the really cool CNC machines and all the cool end mills that cost about the same as a house. That's really my favorite part, was getting to see everything move and getting to see all the parts that come into it, and really just that.
The best part about this manufacturing experience has to be going through the entire process of how over here they make everything from scratch.
This trip has opened many doors for me. It has made me want to become a pilot even more. It has made me maybe work on ground at these facilities like this even more. I'm glad that I came on this trip. Thank you.
Welcome everyone to the General Aviation Manufacturers Association 2026 State of the Industry Press Conference. It's great to have everyone here. My name is Andre Castro. I'm the Managing Director of Communications. To start our program, I'd like to briefly go over the agenda for today. First of all, we'll start with the release of the 2025 year-end shipments and billings report for the global general aviation industry. After that, we'll be followed by some Gamma issue updates. We will then host a panel discussion with industry leaders, which will be followed by a Q&A session. I would like to go ahead and hand it over to our next set of presenters. We have Gamma Chairman and President and CEO of Textron Aviation, Ron Draper, and Gamma President and CEO, Jim Viola.
Thank you, Andre. I'll get us started. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. It's an honor for me to serve as the chairman of the General Aviation Manufacturers Association, which represents more than 130 of the world's leading manufacturers of general aviation airplanes, rotorcraft, powered lift aircraft, engines, avionics, components, and related services and technologies. Today, I'll be taking us through the presentation of the 2025 year-end shipments and billings numbers for the global general aviation industry. We'll start with the piston airplane shipments, which we see increased 10 units when compared to 2024, or 0.6% over the previous year. The value of the piston airplanes is again the highest it has ever been at $1.4 billion, an increase of 9.1%. The market share shows the U.S. market leading the way, but it is smaller by 5 percentage points when compared to 2024. The Latin American market saw an increase, bringing it up to the second largest share at 9%. In 2024, they had a 5% market share. Moving on to turboprop airplanes, shipments slightly decreased at 5.1%, or 32 units below 2024. Feedback across the turboprop manufacturers is that demand for new airplanes remains high, but there were a few delivery challenges in 2025. There were $2.4 billion in turboprop airplane billings, matching last year's $2.4 billion. Geographic distribution placed North America at the top of the market share with 58%. Latin America was the second largest market at 17%. Moving on to business jet shipments, we see an increase of 11.8% when compared to 2024. This was the highest number of units delivered since 2009. There were $27.2 billion in business jet billings, an increase of 18.2% from 2024. The North American market continues to lead. However, in 2025, the Latin American market saw an increase, bringing it to the third largest share at 11%. In 2024, they were the smallest at 5%. We now move on to helicopters. Piston helicopter shipments were flat with a decrease of 4 units from 2024. There were $114 million in piston helicopter billings, a decrease of 1.1%. Moving on to turbine helicopters, we see that the preliminary shipments were also flat with a decrease of 14 units from 2024. As with previous years, the shaded segments are Leonardo's fourth quarter numbers. Leonardo will be reporting their 2024 fourth quarter figures next week. The preliminary value of turbine helicopter deliveries was $4.6 billion, an increase of 5.7%. As we close out the report, the biggest takeaways from 2025 is that billings of all general aviation aircraft exceeded $35 billion, the highest ever recorded. And for the third year in a row, the industry has eclipsed 4,000 aircraft delivered. I would now like to hand the floor over to Jim to give some industry updates.
Thanks, Ron. General aviation provides connectivity for communities, companies, many small and mid-size, to support the economic growth. GA also provides our communities with numerous important services, including farm and ag work, emergency services such as air ambulance, police, firefighting, as well as special missions for those in need of medical care, and also, if you've seen over the last couple of years, disaster relief efforts. One upcoming initiative that I would like to highlight is being led by our GAMA chairman, Ron Draper, the Special Olympics Airlift, which is taking place in June. This unique event mobilizes hundreds of volunteer pilots and aircraft to transport athletes and coaches to the Games. It is the world's largest peacetime airlift, showcasing the power of aviation collaboration and community spirit. Ron, we wish you and all the Doves the best of luck with this incredible effort. Last year, during the press conference, we unveiled reports that detailed the economic impacts of general aviation that has been great for both the U.S. and Europe. These reports provided important data points that we can collectively use to show the impact value of our industry provides in both the U.S. and Europe. In the U.S., general aviation supports $339 billion in total economic output and 1.3 million total jobs. The U.S. report also breaks down the numbers by state. In Europe, the business aviation industry supports 100 billion euros in economic impact and 449,000 jobs. The European report also provides an analysis of economic impacts of the possible restrictions on business aviation operations, particularly the impact business aviation connectivity has on foreign direct investment. These reports provide a tremendous resource for the industry, and I encourage everyone to revisit the reports. We are grateful for the support of our fellow associations that help bring these reports to fruition. The global success of general aviation manufacturing industry drives innovation, enhances safety, and strengthens economic opportunities. When the current administration began to announce and implement tariffs on goods and trading partners, we began to contemplate reciprocal tariffs. GAMA worked with these industry partners to help protect the civil aerospace supply chain, which had benefited from the zero tariff environment since 1979. We are pleased that announced trade deals have supported and fostered the health and growth of the aerospace industry. We will continue to advocate for deals which help provide stability for the industry and drive competitiveness. We are also keeping an eye on the forthcoming U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement review. Last year, following the tragic January accident in Washington, D.C., the aviation industry came together to form the Modern Skies Coalition. GAMA is a founding member of the Modern Skies Coalition and is part of the steering committee. This broad group of industry stakeholders includes airlines, operators, manufacturers, labor unions, and airports. The coalition is prioritizing funding for FAA to make critical ATC technology and infrastructure investment, strengthening controller and technician staffing and training, and exempting the FAA from future government shutdowns. The U.S. Congress took a big step forward in terms of progress on air traffic control investment with a $12.5 billion down payment. These funds are already being seen and have seen 37% of telecom connections transformed, 612 radar sites, 162 radio sites converted national-wide, 13 towers that are now doing electronic strips, and 52 new surface safety initiatives. While these are important steps, much more work remains to modernize the U.S. ATC system. Secretary Duffy, who has been a tremendous leader in this effort, has estimated that at least another $20 billion is needed to achieve and implement this necessary infrastructure improvement. We will be following this closely, and we are ready to assist in this much-needed modernization within GAMA and with the Modern Skies Coalition. Over the past 3 years, GAMA and EBAA have worked closely with national governments to highlight the negative impact the proposed EU energy tax directive would have had on European general and business aviation and broader economic competitiveness. This directive would have introduced a 40-cent per liter tax on jet fuel for general aviation and business aircraft. In November, the EU finance ministers failed to reach agreement on the energy tax directive. While this is an important win, we must continue to monitor and act on evolving EU-level and country-specific tax schemes for similar industry-threatening measures. It is great to see how our collaborative efforts focused on promoting the economic contributions of our industry provides can help shape this policy. Safety is and has always been essential for the aviation industry. GAMA has been a leader in the SMS development and implementation because we believe it fosters a robust safety oversight culture and benefits a company's management, employees, products, and services. In December, GAMA published a revised standard for implementing a safety management system in design, manufacturing, and maintenance organizations. This effort involved GAMA, ASD Europe, AIA, AIA Brazil, and AIA Canada, and is designed to support industry compliance with SMS requirements. It incorporates several enhancements, including increasing SMS relevance for maintenance organizations, strengthening safety culture, principles, and guidance, and stressing the importance of staff independence in decisions affecting safety and airworthiness. We will continue to work with stakeholders, legislators, and regulators to strengthen our aviation safety systems through SMS implementation and oversight. Last year, during AirVenture, the long-awaited final rule for FAA's Mosaic was announced. This rule expands the application of the safety continuum to light sport aircraft category, reducing regulatory burden consistent with FAA safety principles. It also lays the groundwork to improve certification processes for Part 23 and Part 27 aircraft. For general aviation aircraft, the FAA's efforts should focus on establishing an appropriate level of certitude in the type certificate process by relying on a system safety oversight approach that focuses on areas of high risk while utilizing compliance safety assurance and delegation processes for applicants more effectively. Overall, implementation of the safety continuum will play a crucial role in advancing the safety, innovation, and the utility of general aviation. On the advanced air mobility front, we saw a lot of activity last year. In December, the AAM Interagency Working Group, established by Congress through legislation that GAMA championed, released its national strategy and comprehensive plan. This strategy puts forth a plan to lead the AAM sector's integration into the national airspace system with a focus on adapting and improving infrastructure, strengthening the aviation workforce, expanding security, safety, and automation, and furthering community planning and engagement. Also last year, the U.S. Department of Transportation announced the formation of the eVTOL Integrated Pilot Program, also known as the EIPP. The EIPP is a public-private partnership program that will assist in gathering data and demonstrating the viability of new AAM technologies for entry into service, supporting their safe integration into the national airspace system. U.S. AAM GAMA members have applied to participate in the EIPP alongside local community sponsors. Both of these efforts will assist in further facilitating the growth of AAM worldwide. Fostering safety and innovation, general aviation manufacturers are at the forefront of advancing safety and innovation for the entire aviation industry. Our evolution is spurring more effective power plants, safety-enhancing avionics capabilities, advanced material manufacturing, and improved maintenance training and support. It is paramount that as we have a conducive regulatory environment to carry on these activities. On the safety front, in the wake of the DC accident last year, U.S. Congress has been working on legislation to ensure that such a tragedy does not happen again. The Senate passed the Rotor Act, and the House is now reviewing the NTSB recommendations and developing their legislative initiative. We look forward to working with Congress as they finalize their response. In both chambers, we appreciate the interest in technologies developed by aviation manufacturers to advance safety and operational improvements. We are supportive of an ADS-B in mandate. Most of the aircraft delivered in 2025 that we discussed today and over the past decade have had ADS-B in on board because of its safety and operational benefits. There does need to be full consideration of providing those technology pathways for the existing fleet and addressing certification issues to facilitate the successful implementation of a mandate. We remain engaged with the Hill to provide information on technology developments, certification, and related issues that we believe will facilitate implementation, whatever the legislative outcome. Certification and validation are vital to advancing and maintaining the health of our industry. It is certainly one of the primary things that GAMA does for its members. In the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024, Congress requested a study on the future state of type certification process for the FAA. MITRE conducted this study and identified paths to leverage: safety oversight, stakeholder accountability, the use of tools like digitization, modeling techniques, software systems and certification, and developing a more robust risk-based approach. We are pleased that the FAA is reviewing these ideas as well as looking into how to introduce safety improvements and correct actions in the certification process and evaluating best practices and tools utilized by other authorities. It is worth noting that just last week, legislation was introduced in both the U.S. Senate and the House that provides some targeted refinements to the FAA type certification process. The Aviation Innovation and Global Competitive Act will improve transparency and set guideposts that will begin to facilitate a future state of certification that will improve safety oversight. GAMA member companies have also been consistent advocates for safety cooperation between bilateral partners to support safety and introduce new products and technology into the global marketplace. For almost the better part of the last decade, GAMA has been advocating for a continued focus among all regulators to improve the validation process, and we believe there are some ideas that would help move this forward. GAMA stands ready to be a resource to provide expertise and facilitate discussions with and between regulators and policymakers in these areas. Aside from the validation, it is important that the industry continues to strengthen its international engagement between both regulators and policymakers. Particularly, we want to ensure that regulators have the resources and use them effectively to carry out their needed missions and priorities. We also want to ensure that policymakers understand the industry, from what it provides the economy to how we serve communities. Additionally, GAMA is working to strengthen its relationship with ICAO to ensure that the voice and the needs of general aviation and business aviation manufacturers are heard and considered throughout its work. In fact, we were honored to recently have the ICAO Secretary General speak to our Board of Directors last year and provide him with an understanding of the issues that are important to our industry. I was also pleased to be a participant at the ICAO Assembly last fall. 3 weeks ago, the U.S. Department of Transportation and the FAA unveiled the agency's comprehensive reorganization chart to enhance safety, embrace innovation, and increase transparency. Some of the significant changes, if you haven't seen, are launching an aerospace modernization office to ensure the timely installation of the new air traffic control system. Number 2, establishing a new safety oversight office, which will implement a single safety management system and risk management strategy for the FAA. And the 3rd, creating a new advanced aviation technologies office. We look forward to our continued work with the FAA and hope these strategically focused changes brings efficiencies and stabilization to the agency. For the agency to thrive, it is important that there's stability in its funding. Last year, we saw the federal government shut down, which impacted new certification projects and created missed opportunities, which took a prolonged amount of time to recover. Some probably still aren't recovered today. I want to acknowledge the dedication and sacrifice of our federal employees, including those at the FAA, partner agencies, contractors who are responsible for the safety, security, and economic health of our aviation sector. They continue to work while missing paychecks and facing uncertainty. We really are grateful for their service. GAMA has joined many organizations and stakeholders in calling on Congress to shield the FAA from government shutdowns through alternative funding mechanisms based on industry contributions. Lastly, while stakeholders are sometimes quick to judge and are vocal when a regulator does not meet their expectations, it is important that we are just as vocal when they exceed expectations and meet the standards that we hold them to. While our industry works hard to meet the challenges of today, we also remain focused on the future. We continue to focus on addressing supply chain issues, and some of that affected some of the delivery numbers from this year. At the end of 2024, the Aerospace Supply Chain Task Force set forth recommendations to support stability, increase growth, and competitiveness. This health and vitality of the international aviation marketplace rely on the stability of the supply chain. We also continue to focus on environmental performance, from the usage of SAF to electronic and hybrid propulsion to more efficient aircraft and manufacturing processes. We remain committed to reaching our environmental goals. We are also keenly focused on developing the workforce of the future. Our industry is unique and very welcoming, but we must continue to work to expose the future generations to the exciting careers and opportunities within the industry. From the initiatives like Gamma's Aviation Design Challenge to EAA's Young Eagles to AOPA's High School Aviation STEM curriculum and to the FAA's Airport Design Challenge, there is no shortage of initiatives to further youth outreach. We must all work together to promote these exciting activities. Additionally, we must take advantage of the workforce development grant programs, which through congressional support and Gamma advocacy now includes manufacturing. In addition to maintenance and pilots, and also for recruitment and sustainment. Gamma is up to meeting the challenges and working with our members to ensure that the industry can continue to grow and prosper. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and move to the next portion, and that will be our panelists. If they invite them on stage, we'll invite Ron Draper back up as the chair. We got Nicholas Chabot, CEO from Daher, Terry Short, the Vice President, Flight Operations and Engineering Airbus Helicopters in the U.S., and Phil Straub, the Executive Vice President, Managing Director, Aviation Garmin.
I'm there.
It doesn't matter. He's just a panelist now.
Yeah.
You know, but with that, I'll go ahead and I'll start with Ron. You know, you just presented the numbers and the billing report. You know, but how does it feel from Textron's point of view of the environment and the opportunity with the new products that are coming out?
Well, the industry feels very healthy. I think all OEMs are seeing good sales and backlogs, and the market's been strong. You know, coming 4 years now, coming out of COVID, it's been a strong market. There's a lot of customers turning to our types of products for different needs in their businesses, and so industry feels pretty strong, and it's reflected in the billing numbers. Another record year.
Very good. How about a European perspective?
Well, I like to second what Ron said. You know, I think the industry is setting some records. We saw that in the numbers. It's nice to see that we have been on a lot of downs, and the market is reacting extremely well to our products. We definitely need to get our customers satisfied, and that's where we have our biggest challenge today. So the business is there. We should have on our list every day the commercial aspects. I think it's the lowest priority today. We have many other priorities that we need to deal with. So the business is very strong, and it is for a couple of years lasting. So Europe is also a player. We saw that Latin America, Europe kind of, is so-and-so. But as we have seen in the past, Europe is about a fourth of what the US is able to do in terms of volume or billings. And what is interesting in Europe is that it takes a larger side of Europe. So we see customers out of Eastern Europe, Poland, Hungary, or any other countries. So there is a need for transportation in that country, in that area as well.
Very good. So as we talked about the economy, the workforce, the opportunity to serve communities, I mean, that's really what general aviation does well. How about particularly in the rotorcraft area?
Yeah, from a rotorcraft perspective, a lot of our demand is really mission driven. So we've got air ambulance, offshore, firefighting, very complex, very demanding customers. And our customers continue to prioritize mission capability, systems, and safety. And that's why with Airbus, we're listening carefully with our customers, and it's why we're so focused on our H140 that we announced last year. This was, we're in the concurrent certification process with that aircraft, but the beauty of it is we worked with our customers. We listened to them. It has an increased, interior, so the interior is large. It allows them to integrate all of the new medical equipment that's coming out. I mean, they're basically emergency rooms in the back of the aircraft, but the aircraft is, really positioned well for for the modern, helicopter ambulance type operations. So really for us, it's looking at that. We see, consistent demand in firefighting. And as that, firefighting missions, and as that sector is growing, from a rotorcraft perspective, we really believe that we need to remain focused on fully certified aircraft and making sure that the aircraft entering this space have all of these certified safety systems. And then the other part that we as an industry are really focused on too is that customer support piece. We at Airbus have made very significant financial contributions to our MRO shops, expanding those in the U.S., in Texas, and making sure that we can reduce turn times, especially on critical components, mission components, and also increase service levels. Basically from a rotorcraft side, we all focus on keeping our customers flying because they have such critical missions.
Very good. So get them out there and keep them flying. I like it. How about from the avionics side, Phil?
Yeah, it's, well, as you hear from our aircraft manufacturing partners, demand is good, it's robust. You're seeing the shipments now, but as they announce, full results and information for 26, demand is really good for the product, which is great. Then on the MRO side or aftermarket side, it's very robust as well. People want to invest in safety technologies, things that make them more efficient. One of the challenges, though, is workforce. There's a certain amount of capacity we have in the industry. And so we're seeing, at the lower end, probably 3 months booked out, but some of the higher end could be close to a year. And some of the things that are affecting capacity are the broadband installations. So when customers come in, they want to take that opportunity to do that. But when you look at, say, avionics installations, they're getting more complex. I mean, I wish they were simpler, but you're not just replacing an LRU anymore. Often you're doing more broad installations. So it takes a lot of capacity out of the industry when you do that. So we just need more capacity, I'd say.
So on the avionics side and with the ATC modernization, is there any, what's the connection in there? What are you looking for maybe from when the administrator talks to us later today?
Yeah, no, I mean, the modernization, I'll just start with what we have now. So think about all these years we've been investing in ADS-B. Honestly, most of our business aviation, general aviation operators are hungry for safety, for technology. We don't necessarily have to have a mandate to say use ADS-B in. So things like, I think the official application term is surface indications and awareness, or we call it runway occupancy awareness. We've had that capability out for, I think it's over 2 years now in our avionics. It gives you visibility of runway conflicts, incursions, aircraft on final. It's what we're all hungry for. So what I see is when that technology or that data is available, people want it. They're more than willing to equip. And maybe another great example, ADS-B related, there's an application called Cockpit Assisted Visual Separation. So we fly out of our primary airport tower, but they don't have radar on it. So I actually see way more there than they do. And the controller said to me one time, hey, you're following this Cirrus that's 3 miles west or whatever. So I used the Cockpit Assisted Visual Separation tool, CAVS, to identify that airplane on the map display and maintain my separation. So point being, when we have the data and we can do something with it, industry wants to take advantage of it. We do, and people invest.
No, that's a great opportunity to get the safety in the cockpit as much as possible. And then rotorcraft, same, I would imagine.
Same thing, ADS-B. I mean, we didn't, to his point, rotorcraft operators have not waited for ADS-B to be mandated. The OEMs, we've been focused on that and developing systems, and there's a lot of certification out there around safety systems. So all of our customers, that is one of their priorities, is around adopting all of this safety capability, even ahead of any type of mandates or regulatory actions.
Nicholas, anything on ATC modernization, thoughts?
Well, I think it's more than needed. We believe that automation is a way to achieve some of the safety objectives that we have. I mean, across the board, if you look at the European system and the US, I mean, they are the most advanced in the world. I mean, if you look at how much traffic do we have and how little accidents we have, it's a great system, but we can improve it, and that's what we know through technology. And with GA, the unique thing is we're depending on people that can make that decision as quickly as that. So when they want that technology, because it is going to produce safety, they want it now in their cockpit. So yeah, I think it is more than necessary to have a system that is consistent of and taking advantage of all of the great innovation.
Yep, I agree. Ron, any comments on ATC modernization?
Well, I mean, of course, we would fully support modernizing it. You know, our air traffic controllers and our traffic control system really does an incredible job with the high density of air traffic today. And if we gave them, you know, more modern equipment and systems, I think they could even do better and eliminate even near misses in the future. So we're fully supportive of that. Just to speak to this industry a little bit, the technology that Phil and my colleagues are talking about, it already exists and it's going in our aircraft today. I mean, if you buy one of the aircraft that this industry is producing today, it already has all this technology. It has more technology, more situational awareness for the pilot and their airspace, as Phil was talking about, than most of the airliners you're getting on or most of the military aircraft that are flying in the airspace. Because we're able to introduce that technology faster and we're investing at a rate, and this industry is a really good incubator and developer of that technology. And you know, this mandate that Congress is debating on the Rotor Act, you know, big piece of this is, well, they want aircraft to have this awareness of where other aircraft are at, this ADS-B in, so I can see the other airplanes. Almost every airplane we delivered in 2025 from every OEM already has that. We're already doing that. So, you know, of course, we're supportive of a more modern system, and we're ready and able to react to it.
No, thanks for that, and I appreciate all the new technology that's coming standard, essentially. And then, you know, of course, us trying to work on a path to get that into the fleet that's been out for a while certainly would be challenging. Those are some of the key things we look for on the Hill. But some of the conversations I've had up there is, you know, they want that ability of the person in the back and the capability of situation awareness working back there, but the pilots are up front with the least amount of information on some cases. So it's really good to try to get that level of safety up. How about as far as industry challenges? What's your challenge for this year?
Well, I think Ron alluded that to us. I think the supply chain is one of our challenge. I mean, we find ourselves to spend a great deal of time every day to basically push and get our stuff so we can deliver on time. And even that, we're missing a few deliveries. It's kind of an ongoing situation where after COVID, if you remember, we had some labor shortage, and then we have the crisis of raw material, and now we again have, you know, other kind of issues. You know, it's not because we live where the business is good that, you know, it is going to allow us, or I think all of us, to increase prices. And it seems that, you know, today there is a tendency where there's an inflation, and we don't get, you know, for the money we pay. So we got to be careful, because it's not a good idea to insult, you know, the future, and we need to make sure that at the end we serve the market. And I'm very keen on making sure that every day my team is focusing and satisfying the customers. And today I have to say that we have great customers that accept things that, you know, even in my career 10 or 15 years ago, they wouldn't have accepted. So we have to pay particular attention to that. So yeah, we still need to make sure that our system is strong enough. So we need to work on making sure that there is newcomers, new investors that can basically help if we can just find what we need to serve the market.
Terry, anything to add on that?
Yeah, a challenge that I think a lot of us are experiencing now, and you kind of touched on it during your initial update, but it's around certification. We have a ton of technology that all of us in general aviation are trying to introduce into the market and into the industry to make aircraft safer, better. We just talked about a few of those initiatives, but for what I see as a challenge in the industry is for those resources, certification resources, to scale with the way technology is moving. And can they help us bring that to fruition? So that, I think, is one of the biggest challenges I see coming up. That, and to the point, you know, that I made a little bit earlier, was just around making sure, you know, as firefighting increases, you know, that we're managing and focused on bringing those safety systems that we all work hard to design into that sector, and making sure that we can all fly safe together.
Yeah, and you talk about scaling the certification, you know, with getting designees that should help more with some of the regulators and all that stuff. Getting them to use some of the systems that are out there to try to, you know, make it a little more not easier, but just meeting timelines. So it's something we continue to talk to the FAA and other regulators about. Phil, you've probably the same certification issues.
Yeah, I probably would. I'd just maybe build upon what the two here, Nicholas and Terry, have said. Supply chain, a little bit. You hear that a lot, but I'd say for electronics industry, it's a little bit different. With tariffs, we've kind of got that resolved for the aerospace products, but remember the components we buy are still subject to that. So if nothing else, just better predictability. Stability there is helpful for us. Ideally, they would go away. But then in electronics, we'll deal with things that are maybe a little different than power plant and others. So for example, you've all heard about all the data centers going up. Well, they use a lot of graphics processor units. Okay, why does that matter? Well, those consume a lot of memory chips. So now high bandwidth memory chips are putting a strain on that supply chain, gobbling all that up. So we deal with things like that, and generally we manage through it, but there are always a little bit of challenges. And then I'd say workforce. Again, I want everyone to know that what we do is pretty cool. And I think for people that want to go into this industry, wherever you are, whether you're an engineer, pilot, technician, it's just, there's a lot of opportunity. We're working with the latest and newest of technology, and I think it's a good career for anyone that wants to consider it.
Comments on either of those, or we can start the workforce, because that was...
Well, I'd probably start there. I would build
Okay.
on the workforce. I agree with what my colleagues have said here. You know, in North America and in Europe, demographics are in our favor in terms of workforce. So it takes highly skilled and talented people to build these machines and to build all the parts that go in them. And in many of those supply chain companies, that workforce is aging and retiring. And so we need more young people to go into aerospace. And we need to go into highly skilled positions, whether they're an electrician or a machinist or an A&P mechanic. It's exciting to see, Andre, and your comments about all the different initiatives, you know, the Build to Fly and all these different initiatives to try to attract more young people. There's plenty of folks to go hire, but it takes a lot of skill and sometimes years to really learn a craft or a trade. And so when you trade, you know, Nicholas was talking about supply chains, a limiting factor, and it's true these supply chains seem a little more fragile than they did a few years ago. I mean, largely it's better, but there's still challenges. And when you trace that problem upstream and you work the problem, sometimes it's a technical problem, but often it comes down to a workforce or labor problem where facilities consolidated, folks retired, and now they have new folks they're trying to train, and the yield isn't as good, or there's other problems. And so workforce is something all industries are going to have to work on, and there's going to be competition for that skilled workforce in the future.
Well, what about, you're doing something a little special with high schools, are you not?
Well, yeah, we're trying to solve this problem any way possible. So, you know, of course, we bring in college interns like most companies do every summer and trying to get the future engineers that we need. But we also bring in high school interns every summer, and I think we did 160, 170 high school interns. And they get paid for 6 weeks, and they're learning about the different jobs that we have in hopes that when they finish high school, perhaps they choose a trade and perhaps they come to work for us. And we try to expose them to the apprenticeship programs that we have and how we can get them, you know, really nice jobs with great benefits if that's their interest. And we're overlapping that with hiring, military hiring. You know, there's a lot of good soldiers, airmen, sailors that their term in the service is up and they're mechanically inclined. We're recruiting in those areas. We built a new training career center. We spent $40 million building a simulated factory so we can take somebody with no skill and put them through kind of what it's like in their job classification for maybe 10 weeks or more to give them much more onboard training. So we're trying everything we know, and if there's better ideas out there, we'll take them. And it's having good success, but I think this is the way it's going to be for a while.
Yeah. Terry, are you doing anything similar?
Yeah, very similar. I think innovation is kind of the word here for developing that workforce. And I think a lot of our youngsters in middle school and in high school have no idea what we have to offer and what a cool industry we are to work in. Something we're doing really unique that we just started last year. It actually originated in our commercial division, but we call it Flight Path 9. So what we're doing is we're partnering with a local university for those basic manufacturing skills. So whether it's measurements, sheet metal, basic sheet metal, wire harness building, all those technical skills. This program addresses it with high schoolers and recent high school graduates. It is a course that's done with the university, so they have classwork and then they work in our facilities and learn that hands-on skill. And if they successfully complete the program and pass the testing, then they have a guaranteed job with Airbus in our apprentice program. So it's a great way to show them what we do, give them those technical skills, and then help develop it and move them right into our apprentice programs. We also are targeting, start younger, but we're targeting a lot of the middle schools with STEM programs, especially trying to get more women into the programs in STEM, into science, and showing them what we do. And we have some really innovative aviation kits that the schools can sign up for. They get it. It's a lot of aviation building blocks and some cool things they can do to try to get them interested in our industry. So I think those are two very innovative programs that we're having a lot of success with. And then, we talk a lot about workforce development, right, but I think we also need to work at, because of the, we had a lot of retirements, we're seeing a lot of new people coming into our industry, but it's also workforce development for our current hires, and making sure we have good mentorship and training programs. And something I know many of us are doing is even working with the FAA to that, to that end. Yep. Partnering with them, with their new hires to let them come into our facilities, especially manufacturing and production facilities, where they can see how we, what we do for product development, how we do certification, how we do repair and overhaul, so they can see and touch the equipment that we're asking them to certify, and helping them to get up to speed quicker to support us with this new technology. So I think there's a lot going on, but it is definitely a challenge.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Nicholas, you got anything going on like that?
I think there is a lot that was said, and it's impressive, all of the programs. And of course, we do have similar programs as well. And the one that I particularly believe strongly about is the apprentice program. I think anytime that we have an exposure with young individual, we have a chance to have him develop a career with us. So I got about 12% of my workforce that is, in the apprentice program, and more than 80% are actually staying with us, which is great. I mean, this is the best source of hiring. Wow. I think, I like also the retention that we talked about. I mean, there is also work that we all have to do to make sure that our people are seeing the future of our industry. And I think I like to call the media in the room here to help us develop and promote all of these opportunities that we bring. It's not just something that is on the ads. I mean, this is a reality. This industry is very diversified. You can find almost a job for any skills or ambition, but also this is a high-paid kind of industry. So we provide a career to people. So anything that can relay the message and use all of the material that we see in the program. And the one that I like particularly is to have an international internship program. So we bring U.S. kids, in France, and actually we also having European fellows to come to the U.S. So I mean, this is part of the initiatives that we have taken as well.
Yeah, no, a lot of the stuff that you've talked about, a lot of folks just don't understand it, and getting the word out there of the opportunities and get the young folk involved is really important. Anything to add, or we want to go into new products? What's going to be exciting next year?
I think from the involving folks, I mean, what these guys are saying, we're doing as well. Terry mentioned something that's kind of cool to call out, the Women of Aviation Week, so we're proud of our involvement in that. Everything from hands-on classroom type things to speakers. We'll take up, I think, around 40 to 50 young women for flights to expose them to that. So puts a smile on my face every time we do that type of thing. And then incentive programs for folks to learn to fly, pay, the majority of their flight training, that type of thing. So I think those are all good things that I don't think we're alone in doing. You're doing these type of things as well. So.
New products?
New products?
Yeah.
You know, I think what's interesting there, I'll tie this into like the air traffic control modernization. So first of all, I want to thank, you know, Secretary Duffy and Administrator Bedford for the investments, their commitment of what they're doing to make things real there. And I say there's so much opportunity because I mentioned ADSB, where the information's available, we can do things with it. But when it's not, and I think this is what they want to do, I think they want to make it available, unlock it. So think about, you know, I heard Administrator Bedford talk about, we will tell you where we want you to be when. So what he's really talking about is 4D navigation, right? And the controllers, even now today, have things like traffic flow management tools, you know, that help them understand clog points and so forth. But I think a lot of what they do is sector to sector. If you can open that up and look at it holistically and then share it with us, we certainly have the ability to do time-based 4D navigation, and it doesn't even have to be automated all the way across, but certainly, you know, even light jets now are coming out with auto throttle at this point. Yeah. So I think the ability, if we can just unlock these silos of information, we'll do some amazing things. One of the things we got in FAA reauthorization was mobile clearance delivery. So think about it. How many of you as pilots are tired of writing down clearances? Just push it through. I know. I mean, and you know, I think people are embracing things like controller-pilot data link communications because it removes some of the transcription errors, things like that. We'll extend it to the ground. Yeah. You know, we've got introduced taxiway routing. So we have an airport moving map database, connected all the points, and now Ron's products and others here, Nicholas, you can go out when you get that clearance, whether it's leaving the runway, active runway, or taxiing out. You can type it all in. It kind of leads you through it. But wouldn't it be nice if they just pushed it? Yeah. Okay, so if legacy systems, and I think this may be what they're thinking, if legacy systems are slow to adopt, push it over IP. We'll get the data one way or the other. And whether it goes in an EFB tablet or whether I let it go through our cyber secure system into the avionics, we can make for a more capable but safer system. Because when you talk about runway incursions, think about the potential threats and dangers there. So I just use that as an example. I get excited about there's so much potential, and I think we're on the cusp of hopefully unlocking that so we can do more and more of those type of things.
Certainly a lot of activity over the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic, a lot of information sharing, a lot of ways to manipulate the information for safety and efficiency. But before I just keep monopolizing here, I wonder if there's any questions in the audience that we'd like to ask any of the panelists or myself. Andre, you got a favorite question? You got one over here?
Hi, Will Geisbon at the Air Current. I know none of the folks up here are at Bombardier or Gulfstream, but I just kind of curious for people's perspectives at a high level about, you know, we saw over the last few weeks some turmoil here with Canadian certification projects. Broadly, I'm curious, how are you seeing aircraft certification being used in the context of these wider trade deals and for geopolitical reasons? I'd be curious to pick people's brain about that. Anyone can respond.
Well, at high level, I'll say that the opportunity to show that there was an issue with validation and some of our bilateral partners and the agreements that we made, we certainly, Gamma tried to take advantage of the opportunity to make sure that we work close with the FAA as well as the ASA and other regulatory agencies that, we have those planned events for a reason. We meet about twice a year, the regulators meet and they come up with bilateral agreements. And so occasionally, if it's not being tracked properly, things get out of balance, and it was an opportunity, I think, to rebalance some of the things that are going on. I don't see safety being leveraged. I think that it was just a highlight of some things that needed a little bit of a correction. I don't know if anybody has any other comments on that.
Well, I mean, we design and build an aircraft. We don't design and build it just for the United States or Brazil or Europe. We design them with the hope of hopefully selling it all over the world. That issue kind of highlighted sometimes we get cert agencies, even though they have agreements that they'll recognize each other's certifications, there's friction there between our cert agencies. And I think it just highlighted that's a problem, that's always been there probably in aviation, and at times it needs to be worked on. And we need alignment between these regulation, Transport Canada, the FAA, EASA, ANAC, or other ones around the world. it's a hard thing to ask. How do we have harmonized standards so when we design an aircraft that it's going to meet the certification standards of all those agencies? And then once we do, how do we get all those agencies to recognize them? And it's an ongoing issue that I think we talk to these agencies about all the time. Yep. And how do we as an industry, how can we help solve that problem? That just highlighted an issue with certified in one country and not yet validated in the other country. There may be good reasons for that. There may just be workload or resources or whatever. So I think we just need to have the perspective. That's very important to this industry, that those agencies can cooperate and work together.
Yeah, and the harmonized standards is a key thing you mentioned there, Ron. We shouldn't have to make airplane differences for different countries. It should be able to produce a standard aircraft that could be sold, and it's going to be flown everywhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the idea. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
People have different opinions, but I think that ought to be our goal is how do we work together and cooperate on that.
Thank you for the great presentation. The current administration had Leon Shea Aviation Week. The current administration has been downplaying environmental regulations, and recently they just lowered the standards for fuel efficiency in the automotive sector. You know, the GA industry has been really good about pushing for SAF and fuel efficiencies and innovations, and it's been an incubator for so many things. Do you see the environmental policy views affecting this industry at all?
I think aviation has been global leaders in a lot of those areas. And I mentioned, I think on my report, we continue to make more efficient aircraft, more efficient engines, more efficient power plants. So the goal has always been, since the early days, to keep getting better. And so I think that's the intent, and we'll continue to do that. Anybody have anything to add?
No. Well, go ahead, Nick. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Maybe I'll get started on this. I think that Phil mentioned a few of the great innovation that is going to touch what I said, the soft skills in the cockpit, and it's going to help. But at the same time, it's also going to help the system to be more efficient. So we as an OEM, we have to go back to our roots, and our roots is the aerodynamics and everything that we can do to continue to improve efficiency. And we've proven, the track record that you're mentioning, Jim, is one. This industry is made of innovation. So it will serve environment, not without any questions. I think we are committed to the goal of 2050. What we were not committed, though, is people that wanted to have everything happen on overnight. That doesn't happen with our industry. We have to go with incremental steps, and we are meeting our goals one by one. And one of the things that we like to see a little bit more is use of SAF or alternative fuel, whichever they are. I think that's part of the goals because it's a big contributor, but we should not diminish the other factors that are important, the one from OEM, the one from the system, ATC, what about 20% responsible for the CO2 reduction. So all of that is to make a more efficient system as a whole.
Want to add anything to that?
Well, I was just going to say, as an industry, we haven't backed off our goals. We still have the same goals. Yep. And you all have highlighted some of the success we've had. And as an industry, our footprint is already very, very small. And our goal is to get it smaller or eventually eliminate it if possible. And so we haven't backed off those goals at all.
Thank you. Thanks for the question.
You're right.
Thank you. Advanced air mobility, really exciting, lots of things happening. We haven't talked about it yet much. What is your take on it, and how do you see it affecting helicopter operations?
We're excited about it. We actually are working on our MQ-72C with the Marine Corps. So it's a fully autonomous logistic connector. And we are moving into our second year right now. We have a long history with the military on our Lakotas, and it's based on that design, but we've actually flown fully autonomous flights in this rapid development program. So we're really excited about going into this phase 2 with the military, validating our design. We feel it has all kinds of opportunities for the industry around, differing logistics environments. So I think it's where the industry's going in a lot of cases when you look at that technology and that capability now. So I think it's very applicable.
Last question.
Hi, it's Carrie Lynch with AIN. There's been a lot said about certification and the pain points and years of backlog. There's also been a lot of initiatives already taken in the, 2024 FAA reauthorization bill about getting workers back into the office and mentorship, and there was a recent reorganization. So my question is, are you seeing any changes? Is it still painful? What are you seeing in the certification world right now?
Well, that was a lot of questions there. I mean, there's still the challenges that certainly, certification and validation are the key things that prevent safety from getting into the cockpit. And we've got challenges to get in there. We got those harmonization efforts to make sure that we're not just building it for one part of the world, that it's actually something that can be accepted everywhere. The challenges are still there. We did have a meeting with the FAA. It was kind of funny. There was the two FAA folks, I'm not going to say who, were talking to each other, and they said, yeah, their employees want to work remote. And my response was, send them to the manufacturers, if they want to work remote. So yeah, there's still a lot of distraction going on certainly with the FAA, with a lot of stuff out there that people know. I mean, you shut down for over 40 days, trying to keep the workforce motivated, I still talk to young folks to try to get them to go into the FAA. The industry needs people to go in to be regulators. So they have a lot of distractions. I think the pain level is still there. We continue to try to work through it. I don't know if there's something specific you want to mention.
Well, I would just commend the FAA. They are making improvements. They are in the office. They are hiring. They're trying to train people. We see progress. And so I would give them a pat on the back because they've experienced turnover in leadership and different obstacles. So they need to be encouraged. At the same time, I would challenge them that there's a lot of improvement that could be made. And I think they know that as well. So that would be my answer.
All right, well, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I really appreciate everybody's attendance today. And for the board members, the buses will be outside, and we'll get ready to start our board meeting this afternoon. So thank you very much. Thank you. Great panel.